Graduation speeches are here again, and today we're going to share some of the cringiest ones we've heard lately. Plus, we talk about President Trump's ongoing showdown with Harvard University. But is that enough to address the deeply rooted anti-God, anti-American influence embedded in so many of our elite institutions? And last but not least, we have an exclusive talk to share from Governor Youngkin, where he shares why he's proud of the fact that he vetoed more than 400 bills from the radical left during his term. From the Family Foundation, I'm your host, Candi Cushman, with our president, Victoria Cobb. Well, welcome everyone to Speak Up Virginia. Glad you're back with us. And it's that season again where you're going to hear a lot of celebrities and politicians giving graduation speeches. And Victoria, you're giving graduation speeches this year.
I am. I consider it an incredible honor to be asked to speak in that important moment in people's lives. It's awesome.
Well, I've heard feedback that you are an awesome, inspirational speaker.
Well, hopefully.
But to kind of get you in the mood,
okay,
I thought we'd share some of the most cringe-worthy graduation speeches from celebrities that we've seen lately. Now, I will confess this is a bit of a reprisal from when we did one of our first podcasts. We did a little string of bad graduation speeches, but I've added a few new selections.
There's
into
new
the mix.
every year. Some celebrity does something ridiculous.
All right, so let's just watch.
Hey, left, hey. Tap your arms. Take a deep breath in.
For me, hope is a verb. Hope is action. Because when we hope for a better world, we create a better world.
We are unicorns.
One of the great philosophers of our time has said, haters gonna hate.
All right. Elizabeth Warren doing Taylor Swift is a absolute not.
That is the worst Taylor Smith impression that I've ever heard.
Taylor Swift should never be done by certain people. Also, generally, quoting song lyrics is kind of lame anyway, but certain people
How about
sound
when you
even
actually
dumber.
sing them?
Yeah, okay, that's worse. Well, we should talk about the guy singing at the front, Chris Span.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty awful.
Yeah, it did come out later. He got some ribbing on this.
You'd think.
I think actually some of the students were actually kind of upset because he did a bunch of other random things. That was just the tip of the iceberg. And he did apparently confess later that he had been on some psychedelic drug while writing the drafts.
I mean, people were probably wondering that while he was delivering it. I would have thought he was on something. I think you'd have to be on something to deliver that. Like, I don't know who has the guts and ridiculousness to put that together. This is Ohio State University. This is not like podunk nothingness. This is a major. I mean, the audience is huge. And anyway.
That was one for the books. If you guys want to go back and look at it, I mean, he had all kinds of things. He had breathing exercises for the audience and more songs, and it was just very random. So when people ask whether you're on something, it's not going well.
No, and they are graduation speeches. Speeches, words. They didn't ask you to come and sing. They asked someone else to probably sing the national anthem or something. You got asked to come deliver comments. Don't sing.
Yeah. All right, so we can assume that Victoria Cobb is not going to be singing or quoting Taylor Swift.
I will not quote Taylor Swift. And in fact, we were, one of these years we did a conversation. I think it was last year we did a conversation on this about things that get you canceled from graduation speeches. Because, there's also the alternative where you actually provide great information. I think we were talking about Harrison Butker's amazing commencement. Remember his amazing speech? And it was, and we were saying, you get canceled for talking about Jesus too much or praying in Jesus' name. You get canceled for biblical sexuality. And as I was putting together my comments for the commencement address, I realized it's kind of hard to be me and not do all those things because I love Jesus.
Yeah.
But
you will do all those things.
Yes, I will. But thankfully, I typically get asked, and this year from Christian schools. And so hopefully they're expecting me to talk about Jesus.
My takeaway from this is that Victoria will not be cringy, but she will get canceled.
That's fine. That sounds good.
All right. Well, in a minute, we are going to hear a great speech from Governor Youngkin. And he really did knock it out of the park. But before we get right into that, I wanted to quickly let you address something else that's been in the news lately, and that's been this ongoing battle between President Trump and Harvard University. And I do think it is worth addressing because a lot of universities are watching. They are watching how this is going to play out. And we've already had Columbia, where the Trump administration said, okay, we're going to stop federally, at least some of your federal funds, we're going to take away if you don't comply on some of these DEI and anti-Semitism that's going around. That has got to be reduced or just wiped out. And they are complying, it looks like. But Harvard, on the other hand, is fighting back with a lawsuit and really digging its heels in, at least at the time, that we were recording. They were still very much dug into this. What's your take on all this?
Well, you knew somebody was going to push back. I mean, we knew that some of these universities are so steeped in this DEI stuff. They are so steeped in their anti-Semitic views and that keeps coming out, things that keep coming out on their campus. They seem so unwilling to address all of that. So I'm not surprised that it's Harvard. Harvard's in a better position to fight with the federal government than the average university because, one, it has a massive endowment.
Yeah, $53 billion.
Yeah, so they're sitting on a bigger pot of money to play this game, even though they're saying that the loss, I think it's something like $9 billion is federal funds.
The Trump administration said they were going to review $9 billion, but they've only actually frozen, I think, a little over $2 billion so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this will all play out, but they're in a little bit better position to fight over that. It seems like a smaller chunk of change when you're Harvard. And also the elite status of Harvard, which everybody knows, it puts you in a position of people are still going to, even when you're fighting with the federal government, people aren't going to worry about attending Harvard because Harvard on your degree means something in this world. Although lately it kind of means you're a left-wing.
Although some people might wonder if it's worth the cost, if they keep going down this road.
Well,
right?
I think there's no question. And most universities, I think, are sitting back wondering how serious is the federal government? Are they actually going to withhold the funds? I mean, I think there's a little bit of, is this just a threat? Or is this real? And I think we're going to find out with Harvard if it's a threat or if it's real.
Well, I'm going to put on the screen here this post from President Trump that really stirred things up, where he says, we are going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve. So that really got people going. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a big step. I mean, if he actually does it sort of stirred up the pot just saying he was going to. And, I have a little bit, well, first of all, some of these universities, it's like they're nonprofit, but they're sitting on these massive endowments. I don't know why we're funding them to the degree. I don't know why they still need so much government money if they have. Anyway, there's a little bit of like a formula question I have around
medical,
all of that.
they're medical research and scholarships.
I'm sure that's true.
That's what Harvard's throwing out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's true. It just seems like, in a moment where our country has a lot of debt and a lot of other things, we are really funding these universities at ridiculous levels to begin with. But nevertheless, they do important things, some of them.
Especially if they're pushing values that are counter
to what we need in our next generation. Yeah. We are not looking for a generation to hate America and to raise them that way.
Or hate Jewish people.
Or the anti-Semitism. It's like the exact opposite value. So why are we? So I guess, I'm a little, taking away tax-exempt status, of course, because we're a nonprofit. I think about that. And I also think about the great universities that are Christian that have had hostile administrations. I wouldn't want to see this used in a way that harms faith-based institutions in some way. So
because power can go the other way.
Right. I just think we need to be mindful of that.
And speaking of that, it does have me thinking a little bit that the reason we're in the mess in the first place is because of government mandates on universities, and now we're trying to fix it with government. What are your thoughts around that?
The government has shaped this. They have promoted this. They have the policies, the incentives, the type of research that gets funded versus research that gets rejected. Because this is the weird, we're going to go down this little rabbit trail about some minority group or whatever. It's instead of, please just go cure cancer for us. That would be awesome, So like that, some of it is about incentivizing. And so we got to, the government has created false incentives for all this stuff. They need to pull all that back. And I think Trump's
which he's doing.
Yeah. How long that's going to take, though, to actually change an entire ecosystem of DEI and anti-Semitism, I don't know.
And that's my question for you, because we were talking about how this has, over a period of years, really this anti-American, anti-Semitism, a lot of, even anti-God, perspective has been enmeshed over a period of years through hiring, the professors, the curriculum, just in every level in a lot of these places, especially the more elite ones. So, if you're a Christian student going there, you're swimming upstream.
Definitely.
So how do you have hope that this could actually change? Do you think we can change those institutions at this point?
I mean, I have hope over the long term. These aren't quick changes, but I look at Gen Z, and I think, wow, we've got kids heading back to church. We've got the men are becoming more and more conservative. So that generation kind of brings me some hope. But getting from where they are today, age-wise, to we're in leadership at a university like Harvard is a long path. And when there are professors that have literally been denied tenure because they're too conservative, the culture you're going to have to undo to make your way up through that and actually be recognized and credible to get into a leadership position.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. So it's not a I hate to say it, this administration needs to do what it can, but this is not a 4-year project.
Yeah. So just my takeaway hearing you talk is the disruption is needed, but we better buckle up because we got a lot of work to do over decades.
Yeah,
so
truly.
And it's worth fighting for. I think there's a lot at stake here. Well, there have been some great people that have come out of the Harvard universe.
Yes.
One of our presidents, John Adams.
Yes.
So it's got rich heritage there. We need to fight for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to relinquish any university to the left.
Yeah. Well, another person I'll mention of more recent days is our own governor. He went to the Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
And that helps me segue into we have a great speech to share from him at our Nova dinner that we had recently. So this has not been heard elsewhere. You're getting the first take at this speech that he made to supporters that care about life and family and freedom values. And one of my favorite parts of his speech was just how he said he was proud. He was not apologizing for having the record for vetoing the radical left's bills coming out of our legislators. So, he was stopping the bad stuff, as he put it.
And we so needed that. That I hate to say it. I mean, governors want to leave legacies of big programs and amazing changes. But honestly, with the situation with our legislature, we needed a governor where his legacy is stopping the bad. Yeah. And I'm glad that he did that he owns it, that he's excited about it, that I hope he feels great about what he's done.
Yeah. He also has very nice things to say about you and your history with the Family Foundation.
He's very kind, but it's a team effort. And I appreciate that he gave us those remarks.
All right. Without further ado, let's hear from Governor Glenn Youngkin.
Thank you all very much. What a gracious introduction. Thank you. What an honor it is to be here tonight. What an honor it is to have the Family Foundation in Northern Virginia and to have a packed house with everyone here standing together for values that we hold dear. Everyone standing together, cheering for me. Thank you. Thank you. So, I have to say that when you get an invitation from Victoria, you say yes, quickly. Early on in my potential political life, a friend called me and said, hey, Victoria Cobb would like to meet you. And I said, where do I go? And they said, to Richmond, now. And that's exactly what we did. And Victoria, thank you for your friendship all along the way. What an inspiration it is to be with all of you, to be with happy warriors who believe in what it means to fight on the front line for the good, for the true, and for the beautiful. And what a critical time it is for all of us to be standing, locking arms together to do exactly that, to fight for the good, to fight for the true, and to fight for the beautiful. It's also a delight to be here with Scott Jennings. Scott, thank you for joining us. Used to sitting at 10 o'clock with a whole bunch of people who don't agree with you. But trust me, you are in a big room of conservatives, so you can relax a little bit today. But I also deeply appreciate the fact that Scott goes to battle every night, and yet he does it in an incredible way. He respects the debate. And yet, he actually explains to people what we believe and why we believe it. Our pro-faith, pro-family, common sense, conservative values. And yes, he does it with a smile, most of the time, with a smile. And I also appreciate the fact that there are many people who do watch CNN, but the only reason why they watch it is to watch Scott Jennings. I just need to tell all of you, you are the beating heart of the foot soldier, of the policy holder, of the value keeper. It is what the Family Foundation stands for, and the fact that you always stand for it that makes tonight so important. I want to thank all of you for your financial support for the Family Foundation. And if any of you had a question, you just watch Taryn Bingham get an award that we would like to give to every single teacher in all of the Alexandria City Schools. Are you kidding me? That was an amazing testament to the work that you were doing. And so, I just want to bring us all into this season, because we are told that there are seasons in life. There are seasons when you are called to serve. There are seasons when you are called to pass the baton, to say Winsome Sears. There are seasons. These seasons also present themselves in the public square. And I think it's clear that the last election was the turning of a season where Americans rejected liberal extremism and embraced common sense conservatism. And we watched it happen. A number of people came up to me and said, "Phew, I'm glad to know that we're mostly normal again." My friends, what a statement. What a statement. A statement that I believe has laid the foundation for a national revival on the family, a national resurgence in the beliefs and values that we hold dear. We can see it happening, and I'm incredibly encouraged. And yet, this is not the first time that all of you have been involved in this resurgence. We did it in 2021. We came together in a way that no one thought could happen. Everyone said a Republican can't win statewide in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We've moved on. We believe in different things. And yet we saw the Commonwealth come together in a way that not only inspired us, but inspired others. Because common sense conservative values don't just win, they work. And even today, so many people who might not have voted in 2021 the way I wanted them to, now come up and say, "Governor, thank you. Thank you for standing strong for the things that matter." You see, over the last 3 years, and I want to remind everybody, I still have almost a year left in office. I'm not going in. But over the course of the last 3 years, we came together on a basic mission to make Virginia the very best place in America to live and work and to raise a family. To live, to work, and to raise a family. And I have to say, the top testimony that I see every day is when, for the first time in over a decade, in 2023, we had more people move to the Commonwealth of Virginia than move away to the other 49 states. I candidly can't believe what was going on for the previous 10 years when we had basically a draining of our state going on. But it is so nice to know that when we stand together for these beliefs that we know are at the foundation of everything that is good and right, that Virginians want to stay and folks from the rest of the country want to come. And that, to me, is the ultimate test. And yet I do believe today we really have found ourselves into that rarefied position as the best place in America to live and work and to raise a family. I agree wholeheartedly. And yet, let's pull apart those three themes. The best place to live. In order to be the best place to live, you have to be safe. And if people don't feel safe, they will move away. And in 2021, Virginia was seeing a 20-year high in murder rate. People did not feel safe. And we went to work. And I have to say thank you to our great Attorney General, Jason Miyares, for partnering with we launched Operation Bold Blue Line. And in a year's time, our most violent 13 cities had a 40% reduction in murders in 1 year because we focused on keeping the bad guys in jail and standing up for law enforcement. When we back the blue, crime goes down. We went to work to save our kids from drugs and gangs. And I'm proud to say, you have to keep this secret, but tomorrow we will announce that over the course of the last year, Virginia has led the nation in the reduction of overdoses from opioids and fentanyl. Arrest the bad guys. Seize their drugs, educate families and children to the real damage and desperate impact of fentanyl, and then provide them a pathway to help their friends should there be problems. And by the way, pass a whole bunch of legislation. And I've been battling this for 3 years, but my friends, this year we finally got passed a bill to make it a felony if you deal drugs and someone dies. In order to be the best place to live, it not only has to be safe, but we, in fact, have to be affordable. And yes, Virginians have been and continue to be overtaxed. But when I sign our budget, which I've got a bunch of changes I need to make before I sign it this Friday, we will put the cap on what will have been, during our administration, $9 billion of tax relief for Virginians. $9 billion. I'll share a secret with you. We're going to have a little over $10 billion of surpluses that have been generated during this administration. And $9 billion out of $10 billion has been given back to taxpayers because it's your money, not the government's. And finally, to be the best place in America to live, we have to take care of the amazing gifts that God has granted us in natural resources. And I believe that we can use common sense conservative values and keep our rivers clean, our streams clean, and protect the Chesapeake Bay so that we can all appreciate God's wonder every single day. Yes, Virginia is the best place in America to live. Now, we also have to be the best place to work. And let me tell you, when we came in 2021 to work in 2022, Virginia was bottom third in the nation in job creation. Every business I visited with said, Governor, if you don't win, we're leaving. 25,000 small businesses were shuttered in 2021 when the previous governor kept the ABC stores open but closed businesses and churches all over the Commonwealth. They were ready. And today we have seen an absolute resurgence. Let me tell you, Virginia's got jobs. Lots of them. Lots of them. Today, we know that 265,000 more people are working today than just 3 years ago, with more people working in the Commonwealth of Virginia than ever in the state's history. Ever. That is the moment we should celebrate, because those most famous words, I believe that the most powerful words in the English language are "I love you." But right behind them are "you are hired." Right behind them. And that's happened to 265,000 people in the Commonwealth of Virginia just in 3 years. Just in 3 years. The dignity of going to work every day changes lives. And that's because we have a tremendous workforce. But I want to tell you, workforce development is work. When I came into office, we had over 1,000 workforce programs scattered all over government. We consolidated them into one Virginia Works agency. People said, you'll never get that done legislatively. And our Secretary of Labor, Brian Slater, got that done. And we have now one workforce agency, and it is rated one of the top, if not the top, workforce development programs in the nation every single year, because we're training people to take these great jobs. We reduced regulations. 50,000 regulations, saving Virginians $1.2 billion a year of wasted time and process. And guess what? CNBC saw all this. And last summer they said, Virginia is the best state in America for business. And I said, yes, we are. Yes, we are. Because we have had companies and businesses commit $100 billion to expand in the Commonwealth of Virginia in the last 3 years. Just today I had a great groundbreaking in Chesapeake, city of Chesapeake. And this was an extraordinary moment because this is a Korean company that could have gone any way in the world. And they said, we want to be in America. We want to be in Virginia. And they committed a $700 million capital program. They're going to hire 330 people at high-paying jobs in advanced manufacturing. My friends, it works. If you're the business-friendly state, companies come. If they know they must be in America, they're going to come to Virginia, and opportunity knocks. We are the best place to work. And then finally, we're the best place to raise a family. And my friends, there's no purpose more glorious than to see a family choose Virginia. It begins, I believe, with establishing a culture of life. A culture that recognizes that we must continue to stand for the unqualified. A country that recognizes that a governor who joins other faith-filled people marching for life every year is not a statement, it's a must. I was asked the very first year when I went out to march with everyone, they said, you're the first governor to ever do this. And I said, where's everybody else been? This is important, that we stand together and we understand that a culture of life matters. It's an uphill battle in the Commonwealth, which means we have to provide a pathway for women to choose life. And that is why we spend so much time on maternal health care, so much time on workforce child care, so much time to make sure that women have a choice, moms have a choice to choose life. To be the best place in America to raise a family, we also have to have the best education. And let me tell you, we firmly believe that there is a fundamental right in Virginia for parents to make decisions about their child's education, upbringing. Every day, everyone needs to know that that table, yes, has a child sitting at it, and a parent sits at the head of that table. There should never be decisions made about the most important things in that child's life without a parent knowing. That's why I'm so inspired by our citizen hero tonight. But we had to go to work to raise expectations. We had to go to work to make sure that schools were transparent in how students were doing so parents could make decisions for their children. And I want you to know we have completely overhauled the entire accreditation system in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have overhauled the information flow to parents so they can see how their children are doing. We are making sure that not only parents have a right to be at the head of the table, but they are equipped with the information that they need to be deeply engaged in their child's life. And meanwhile, I'm thrilled to say that Virginia is leading the nation to make sure that When that child hears the starting bell for a day at school, all the way up until the time they hear the closing bell, it is a cell phone free educational environment. No social media, no texts, no drug deals, no violent threats. A student learning. Grades will go up. Mental health will go up. Disturbances will go down. And we have watched this Commonwealth coalesce around common sense and make sure that the children are the most important thing in our schools. And cell phones are put away for the day. And I want to thank everybody for your help. And so much of what we have accomplished has been done by driving forward on an agenda that we were relentless in pursuit of. And yet there is a whole other chapter of all of the things that we kept from happening. And yes, someone said earlier that I have the record for the most vetoes. We're cresting over 400 during my term. The previous record was in the 80s. Nicknamed on one of the late night shows Vito Corleone. I have to let you know that I would tell my Democrat friends that it's not personal, it's just business. But to me, it is personal. It is absolutely personal. There will never be a retail marijuana market while I'm governor of the Commonwealth. Always be a conscience clause allowing us to protect our religious freedoms in every bill that needs to. We will not put a mini casino with skill games in it on every corner in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we will make sure that small businesses are protected to make decisions about things that impact their employees as opposed to have it dictated by Richmond. My friends, this is what the job is. Move us forward and protect from the bad stuff. And boy, there's been a lot of bad stuff. It's personal. It's personal because they're trying to reshape our society into something that our founders never intended. They're trying to tear down the pillars that held America up as the shining city on the hill for 250 years. Pillars that were first built right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia by Patrick Henry and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, and the list goes on and on and on. Pillars that stand for what America must and should be, and pillars that we have to defend. I'm always struck by the fact that there were 12 other colonies and they contributed 2. But I am a proud Virginian, but every now and then I am inspired by someone from one of the other 12 former colonies. And I was struck by what Ben Franklin told his fellow delegates at the Constitutional Convention in 1787. He said that God governs in the affairs of all men, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? My friends, we need to recenter ourselves. It's exactly what we are doing. And now, when it comes to this November, we must center ourselves again. Elections have consequences, and we need to win. That's right. We need to make sure that the spirit of Virginia remains alive and well, that this spirit that represents not just a wind blowing across the Commonwealth with good stuff, but a spirit that represents the fundamental values that make us Americans and make us Virginians. The fundamental values that we want to make sure that our children understand so that they can step forward and fulfill the destiny that God has laid out for them. These fundamental values in the spirit of Virginia that allow us to find solace when we are in hard times. These fundamental values that if we lose them, we lose ourselves. And therefore, the Family Foundation stands in such an important place. A place that reminds us all that there is an organization that can step into the gap, an organization that helps us find our voice, that gives us a place to plug in, a place to go to work, a place to stand together. An organization that understands the clarity of right versus wrong. An organization that goes to help those in need when they need it. An organization that truly holds people accountable. And thank you for that. An organization that Virginia would be lost without. So I want to finish where I started. Thank you. Thank you for coming together tonight as Virginians, as Americans, as believers in what we all stand for and supporting this incredibly important organization. And I just ask for God's continued blessing on the Family Foundation. I ask for God's blessing on our Commonwealth of Virginia. And I ask for God's blessing on these great United States of America. Thank you very much.
Well, it was a great speech. It was a great night. I appreciated, in addition to the veto stuff that he talked about, just that he brought out this fact that he's been marching with us every year for the March for Life. And what an accomplishment, except that he says, that shouldn't be really an accomplishment. It's really what every governor that's pro-life ought to be out there doing.
Yeah.
So I just love that perspective.
I really appreciated that when he said that. And it kind of goes in with this Harvard stuff we were talking about when he shared at the end there that we really have to fight to protect the foundations of our nation, the pillars. And I appreciated what he said. He's quoting Benjamin Franklin that, well, if God knows about it when a sparrow falls to the ground, that a sparrow can't fall without God's attention, then surely the rise of an empire also has to have the favor of God's hand, And so that's humbling to think about. We think we're so accomplished and progressive, but we're not doing anything without the grace of God.
I've always loved that Governor Youngkin is a man of faith, and it comes
Yeah.
out in everything he does, everything he said. I really do appreciate that he's just, for him, he's so transparent in his worldview. And yeah, I would agree.
Well, and Victoria, he said some wonderful things that were very encouraging to us as staff about Family Foundation over the years, really stepping in the gap, being there in the gap in our state. And so I just want to let people know now is a very helpful time if you want to support us financially. We don't often talk about this on our podcast, but we're heading into end of the year, and there are a lot of important projects that we need funded, like battling the abortion amendment and our legal team really defending those Loudon boys right now. And so if that's on your heart, then go to our website and click on the recurring monthly gift or a one-time gift. You'll see both buttons there, recurring gift or the one time. It's at the very top of our website. That's familyfoundation.org. So with that said, remember, we are stronger when we speak together, and we'll see you next time.